Hey. Oh, I know I fired the thing just a little bit early, baby. You understand me? Y'all cool with another sleepyhead stream? Ladies, I'm so tired. I'm tired. I promise you I am. Uh, oh boy. Well, where's my phone at? Say, baby, what's good, baby? Another sleepyhead stream, baby. Say, hey Lisa, was his Mandy Cat? What's up, girl? Say, how's everybody doing? Y'all good? Man, hey, sleepyhead stream is what it is tonight. Okay, you're getting a sleepyhead stream. Hey, Brooke, how you doing, lady? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Hey, say, ladies, I'm so tired. Girl, this little baby puppy. Oh man. Little Dell, what's up, lady? Man, this little baby puppy, she killing me slowly, baby. she, they said, oh, she'll keep you young. I don't know about that. Oh, goodness gracious. How y'all doing? Dusty Bear, what's up? How you doing? So tonight, I don't expect it's all worth it. Yes, Mandy, it really is. Thank you, Lil Dev. She's Miss Justice. It is a golden retriever puppy. She has her own channel too. It's called Rosie Glow the Golden. Please go subscribe, share them videos. It's a labor of love. It really is a labor of love. Oh goodness, here, let me show you a video really quick, Lady Justice. This is for you. Let's see here. This one is called Rolling Over Should Not Be a Problem. Hey, hey, Jenny. Good to see you. Yeah, this is, please go over and check her out. She is a real piece of work. Here, let me put the link in the discussion area here for you, ladies. Y'all, please go deal with this baby puppy so as we can lighten the load. It says it takes teamwork to make the dream work. Here she goes right here. Wearing out. I'll do it right now.
Oye, oye.
Shoot. Now let's take a leak.
Girl.
So that is Rosie. Thank you, little Dev. She's a roly poly puppy. That is right. So, yes. Whew, goodness. Do I look tired? Hey, Miss Bjornson, good to see you. She is the cutest. And I tell you what, she has grown. I know y'all know this. She has grown in the 3 days we had her already. Uh, so has my patience, though. my patients are large and in charge. No, it's very light, Miss Justice. Very light. It's like made of neoprene or something, but on the back it's got these two. So when she loosens up, it loosens up on her. When she pulls against it, it hugs tight. It's a very I don't get that. It's a very ergonomic design. Hey, Deborah Ann, good to see you. Good to see you. No, I know it looks like a bulletproof vest. Looks like something Ernie would wear. Oh, all of the things, little Dev. All of the things. All of the things. So tonight, oh, man, we're gonna struggle through it because you guys know like my tab game has been a mess lately. Um, but if you guys can remember back in 2022, there were three sisters in Far East Texas who were found. What the initial reports were drowned in a neighbor's pond. Right. I want to go over that briefly, and then we're going to close out with something I found interesting, which is it's going to be slightly out of my character to talk about it, but we're finna do it. You understand me? We're finna get to it. Oh, Courtney. Well, thank you for returning. We sure appreciate that. Uh, Benny used to be getting. Yeah, no. You know, shoot, I'll do it to listen to myself talk. Never heard of it. Well, then we're gonna get to it. But before we do all that, what I want to do is I want to sort of I want to kind of set the tone, okay? And we're going to set the tone with another piece of media from a very famous case, a very famous case. Hey Val, good to see you. So, let's go here.
And I wanted to make sure that there was an actual, truthful account of what happened, that things about I couldn't talk about 30 years ago.
Devil in the details. Tonight, there are new revelations concerning the West Memphis Three from one of the former lead attorneys on the case.
He's written a new book there. For the first time, he's sharing things never shared before.
Kim Clark went to Paragould, Arkansas for the exclusive.
The killer is alive today. I'm sure of it.
That's from the first line of A Harvest of Innocence, the untold story of the West Memphis 3 murder case. You've written a book about the trial. Why now?
It's a very good question. I didn't want to paint a target on any of them.
Almost 32 years ago, May 1993, the nude bodies of 3 young boys were pulled from a drainage ditch in the Robin Hood Hills of West Memphis. Stevie Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers had been beaten, their hands bound by their own shoelaces.
Rare. You don't see triple homicides of 8-year-old children. They're extremely rare.
Talk of sexual mutilation and satanic rituals led to demands for immediate arrests.
When people are scared, they naturally turn to the supernatural as an explanation.
No, Miss Justice, they weren't. These were little boys. However, kind of the road that we're going to go down tonight is it's more so demographic, I guess I might want to say, because the 3 boys in this situation were all friends. They all went to the same school. They all were subsequently had their life taken at the same time. But what's interesting to me about it is that the West Memphis 3 case it happened pre-internet. You follow me? It happened pre-internet, and the explosion of coverage and bureaucracy and debate and all of the things, right? Pre-internet. Okay. I guess one of the things that I really want to point out is the stark differences. I mean, all the way across the board, right? This was 3 little boys. The Cass County girls are 3 little girls. However, they're all sisters and they're all African American, right? And we'll get to that part.
And we can look back in history to things like the Salem witch trials, for example. Same thing happened.
Within a month of the discovery of the boys' bodies, 18-year-old Damian Eccles, 16-year-old Jason Baldwin, and 17-year-old Jesse Miskelly were served up as suspects. At the time, Dan Stidham, now an Arkansas District Court judge in Paragould, was working part-time as a public defender.
I had children the same age as the children who were murdered. My natural instinct, because that's what I went to law school for, is to help people.
Little did Stidham know that offering to help one of the suspects in particular would turn him into a pariah.
But nobody wanted to touch Mr. Miskelly's case because he, quote unquote, confessed. So I'm not the most popular guy in West Memphis anymore, I don't think.
Stidham said he quickly realized what Miskelly told investigators was anything but the truth.
This kid's telling me he's there, but he can't get the story right. And it's like, if you saw something like this happen, you would remember it because it would be so traumatic of an event. You would remember every detail.
In court, the young attorney used a false confession defense of his client, a legal first. It didn't work, and a jury convicted all 3. Eccles was sentenced to death. Baldwin and Miskelly to life in prison.
It's a case study in wrongful convictions, actually.
In 2011, 18 years after their convictions, the West Memphis 3 were released from prison on an Alford plea. That's a guilty plea where the defendants maintain their innocence.
This was an ugly way out of an even uglier situation for the state of Arkansas. And I don't like it. Even though the West Memphis 3 are free, they're not exonerated.
Which brings us back to why Judge Stidham waited until now to publicly share his side of the story.
Life happens, and I lost the child, and that kind of derailed the project for a few months so I could grieve. But I also learned that what these parents must have felt like.
So you get an idea. Hey, voices, good to see you. Lickety split. What's happening? So this is, you guys know I don't do the whole conspiracy thing, right? I just don't. For whatever reason, conspiracies don't. I mean, I guess outside of like JFK, like I don't subscribe to the whole conspiracy realm, right? Like if it's too far out there, I just don't get involved in taking a look at any of it. I think that I want to stay grounded in fact and solution and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and let's move from that to this. And we're going to kind of jump around a little bit, right? What I first want to do is I want to identify to you who these girls were. The oldest was Zairiel Robinson Oliver. The middle child was Amaya Hughes, 9 and 8. And then Tamari Robinson Oliver, 5 years old. Okay. Now, initially, you guys maybe KCK will remember, and I can't see the discussion area, so I'll be right back. You guys can remember I did a short live on it, and this was 3 years ago. 2.5 years ago, it popped up just sort of obscurely, popped up as a story on, I don't even think it was local news, right? So it had originally been thought of in the very early days as a drowning, right? As just sort of organic drowning. And then I think if you guys remember, or anyone that watched that as it happened, that I sort of covered what the physics would have to look like in my mind, understanding that the newscast only referred to it as a drowning, right? So you can imagine 3 girls, 9, 8, and 5. you've got, theoretically in your mind, you've got the 9-year-old probably being the largest, and then on down, right? So, I think we spoke something about, what if the larger of the 3 girls, regardless of the age, what if the larger of the 3 girls got out in the water and started to have trouble, and that 2 of the smaller girls, or even a chain of events, like, the larger one goes out, has trouble, the medium size goes out, has trouble, and now these 2 other girls are depending on the smallest, theoretically, to bring them both back in, right? That's sort of an abbreviated version of what I discussed, right? It wasn't until sometime later I had spoken on the situation, and I don't remember if it was Casey or Tiffany or whom it could have been, but then said, hey, this is kind of taking a turn, right? This isn't what was, it is now not what it was before, or it's being displayed differently. Now, the one thing that I want to mention is that the Texas Rangers are involved in this. You'll hear that if we decide to go through all of the media that's available. The Texas Rangers are involved, right? Now, what's interesting about that is that the Texas Rangers, they get involved for a lot of different reasons, right? However, one of the reasons is this right here. The need for an independent third-party investigation, especially if there are allegations of misconduct or conflict of interest involving the local agency, right? All of the other things, yeah, you get it, right? The need for assistance, suspicion of foul play, all the standard stock options, right? High profile. But the need for an independent third-party investigation, especially if there are allegations of misconduct or conflict of interest involving the local agency. To me, that's very interesting, right? To me, I didn't know that. And in discussing this with my dad this evening, we kind of looked over some things and read about it. And then we heard the Rangers were involved, and he's like, oh, well, one of the reasons why the Rangers get involved. And so more than anything was just sort of fact checking it, right? Like he's going to be wrong. Yeah, no, not in my lifetime. So hold on. Let me go ahead and send the video to myself really quick so that I can, read the discussion area here. So I should have did this before now. I'm sorry. Bear with me. I'm telling you, I am just not all the way with it. Bear with me. I'm having a real operator malfunction here. Okay. All right, here we go. So that's it, Val. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you. Good to see you. Cold November rain. Now I can see y'all ladies. Thank you for joining me. So let's go ahead and move forward to not this quite yet. Do not send me notifications, please. Let's go to this here. This is interesting, right? Because I had not even seen this until tonight, right? Now, all of a sudden, we've got neighbors with an S. Now, you could say, oh, well, maybe there was 3 neighbors in one house all claiming they saw the same thing. But the way that it reads is sort of like, maybe multiple neighbors in separate homes, right? But here's Here's a getting familiar with what's going on.
Discover a world of savings with a AAA membership. We're more than just emergency roads. AAA members
Well, so
have discounts on tickets, shopping, dining, hotels, and more. From popular attractions.
This coming Sunday will mark 1 year that 3 Cass County young girls were pulled out of a pond. Months later, the Cass County District Attorney revealed that the girls' death was strangulation. Tonight, KSLA News 12's Dominique Ben went to rural Atlanta, Texas to find answers.
1 year later, a tight-knit community is still waiting for answers on who killed Zairiel Robinson Oliver, Amaya Hughes, and Tamari Robinson Oliver. Radine Edwards works for one of the local newspapers and has been covering the homicides.
I think we're really trying to find out who did it.
Cass County Sheriff Larry Rowe told KSLA this is a very active investigation. However, he wouldn't elaborate on details.
I just like to see it come to an end. Someone need to go to jail for this.
Here is what we know. July 29, 2022, the girls were reported missing. Neighbor Josephine Webster remembers driving home at around 9:30 that night. She says she was approached by a man who had been living at the home with the children and their mom, Shamanique Oliver Wickerson.
I gave him my house phone, and he called the mom because I could hear on the phone, and told her that the girls hadn't showed up.
Law enforcement and volunteers searched the area, and nearly 5 hours later, in the early morning hours, the girls' bodies were found by divers in a pond that neighbors their mom's property. And for the first time, 1 year later, the owner of this pond allowed KSLA access.
They would have to go through that fence to get in there with the horse to go down to that pond.
It didn't seem quite right. Something about that didn't seem right.
Josephine remembers telling detectives wood could be a key piece of evidence about the man who came to her home.
And he was wet. I noticed that.
8 months after the girls were killed, the leader of the new Black Panther Nation and activist Quanell X stood next to the girls' mother, demanding justice.
I'm here to Cass County today, angry as hell. We are hurting with this mother and her family.
It's been hard for me, my family, mainly because we all want answers. We all want to know exactly what happened.
KSLA News 12 reached out to the mother of the girls, but we were unsuccessful in speaking with her for an interview. And the small town of Douglasville, right outside of Atlanta, Texas, wants the case solved so they can move on.
It is somebody still out there on the loose, and we don't know where they come from or anything. So yeah, we need to know.
In Cass County, Dominique Ben, KSLA News 12.
You just can't understand. Like for me, like you can listen to it, but you just can't really understand the gravity, right? So I even kind of educated myself on some of the dynamics, right? Because I think that you get to understand like sort of the facts of some of it, right? The 3 girls they did not drown. They were manually strangled. Some of the girls or all of the girls had lacerations on their face. So kind of initially you get to thinking that, well, the man had a weapon, theoretically, right? He had a weapon. He could have done something different to the girls. However, his operandi was strangulation, right? So also in my mind, it's like, this doesn't really seem, and please correct me if you guys have hey, Lippy, if anybody has a different ideal about it, like, good to see you. Doesn't it seem like 3 young girls is quite a lot to manage in the midst of what's going on, right? It's quite a lot to manage. And in that, 3 at one time doesn't really seem like the kind of offender that this isn't his fledgling run at it, right? I missed you too, Lippy. Thank you for joining us. For real, for real. Thank you. Right? It doesn't seem like this is the springboard for his first deal, right? It seems to me as if whoever this gentleman is, it seems as if this could be something additional to potential other situations, right? Now, what's interesting is to me is that in a place like Atlanta or Douglasville, Texas, you're talking about very rural, right? So you got to kick around the idea of, right, three at one time, right? Now, if you were to, at face value, take the West Memphis 3 situation, right? You take that at face value to control 3 boys. It took 3 teenagers. Now, granted, I believe that if someone has a weapon, you can control them just strictly out of fear. Hey, Jax, strictly out of fear, you could control 3 theoretically, potentially, right? So now you have neighbors saying a soaking wet man was seen the same night, understanding that these girls were found at approximately 2 a.m., right? So they went missing earlier in the evening and were found in the early morning hours, right? Now, just kind of moving around here, I don't do the Facebook thing, so this actually isn't even my Facebook. You can see I'm not logged in, but it's one of those deals that'll allow you to look at it, yada, yada, yada. So I do find this so interesting. This lady, Sandra, she says, whatever happened with the case of the 3 little girls who were found dead in a pond in Atlanta 2.5 years ago? I haven't heard anything in a long time. Hopefully they got whoever did that to those precious babies. Valerie here. It remains currently an unsolved triple homicide. Texas Department of Public Safety and the Texas Rangers say the investigation is still active and open. What's interesting about this is this happened in the county of Cass, which is up by Texarkana. They're still calling this Far East Texas, right? So you don't have Cass County saying much of anything that the public is getting a hold to, right? You have the Texas Department of Public Safety and the Texas Rangers, right? The Rangers. And then kind of understanding some of the reasons why the Rangers might get involved, right? They don't necessarily get involved in every homicide that has to do with a child. They don't necessarily get involved in this or that. There's a guideline, right? Kind of like, the FBI doesn't get involved in everything that has to do with a child. Follow me? So, hey, Jiggy. So, hey, Ms. T. Thank you all for joining me. I know that this isn't your typical, this isn't Summer Wells stuff. This isn't, it's not the hot topic, but I want everybody, I guess more than anything, is to keep this on your mind, right? Check on it here and there. Pray for the girls, pray for the family, pray that whomever is responsible for this type of thing be brought to justice immediately and given the full maximum penalty, which here in the state of Texas is the needle. Oops, excuse me. Let's hope this person gets the needle. And that, okay, so thinking about who this could be, you start kicking it around in your mind. You're like, who could this be, right? You want to believe that because it hasn't been solved yet, that this is some sort of outsider, some transient, crazy, drug-fueled passerby, right? As scary as that sounds, right? Like he's moved on to the next place, or he's moved on and we won't find him. Or is it equally or more scary to try to understand that this is someone who still lives in that community. Could this offender still be living in that community? I mean, I don't know, but you got to understand that for as atrocious as this crime is and was, that there isn't a lot of talk about it being heard anywhere. This should be on this should be on Netflix right now, because hardly ever are you going to hear of a situation like this, let alone it be a thing and that nobody, how many in there? How many of you, everyone in here from every state should know about this case right now. Those girls' names and faces should be burned into your memory. Hey, Cinnamon. But they're not. Why? Why are they not? So, what you need to understand about East Texas is East Texas was a hotbed for different, I want to kind of tiptoe around this. East Texas was a hotbed for really bad situations pre-civil rights movement. And in fact, it still is a hotbed, right? Where I live at here, there still is a very divided line. And the way that it looks is that, has anyone ever heard of that term, the other side of the tracks? I know everyone in here has heard that, right? Everyone. Yes, Lippy. Yep. Actually here, there is the other side of the tracks where I live at in Terrell. You have on one side, it's pretty mixed in terms of, yes, we live in Texas. That's right, Lippy. On this side of the tracks where I'm at, you have a lot of Hispanics. You have a lot of Caucasians. There are some Black folks. But as soon as you cross the other side of the tracks, the demographic is primarily African American, right? So my point is that even still to this day, a lot of what goes on in other cities, it still hasn't really reached here yet. Yeah, it hasn't reached here yet. It's still kind of the way it was in the 50s and 60s. And in fact, my dad, we were talking, and he said he remembers in 1961, he went to a bus station and he had went into a bathroom, and there was what they called a porter back in those days. And that the porter came over and said, "You can't be in here." And my dad said, "Well, this is the men's room, right?" And the porter brought him out and showed him the sign, and it said colored men's. Now, my mom has a friend. She grew up in Greenville, which is like 25, 30 minutes from right here where I'm at right now. She said growing up that the KKK, right, Lippy? The KKK was still very much alive and kicking when she was a girl. And she's 10 years older than me. That moves me to this here. This is 170 miles away, right? And this is just sort of me looking for examples on the fly. There were many. But the interesting part about it for me was that you could find ample situations where you could hear about white supremacy, racism, KKK in East Texas. far more media about racism in East Texas than you will ever see about these 3 little girls. Hey, love my fur babies. Like way more. And to me, that's troubling, right? East Texas is also sort of the home of different white separatist prison gangs. Like a lot of those folks, when they get out, they're either from here or they're so immersed in the prison politic that they end up out here, right? There's an awful lot of that still here today. But this is just an example.
The protesters in Vidor. Several people who appeared to be part of a white supremacist group were seen demonstrating in Vidor on Saturday afternoon. Take a look at these photos. At least 6 masked people in camouflage showed up on the corner of Main Street and East Tram Road in Vidor. They displayed an Aryan Freedom Network flag along with a Confederate flag that had their logo on it. White power and swastika signs were also on display for drivers. Vidor resident tells 12 News the group was talking to people in their cars as they passed by. A video on Facebook shows Vidor police officers showing up to talk to the group. 12 News was told that they left shortly after that, and we spoke to Vidor Police Chief Rod Carroll by phone, getting his response on the entire thing.
There was some interaction going on with the citizens that was causing a disturbance. These individuals, when we arrived, advised that they're in the process of packing up and leaving, and asked if we would follow them out of town so nobody else would follow them.
So they're scared. They're scared, right? They're scared, but they were there, right? Was it a show of force? Was it some mini recruiting? Hey, Unfollow, good to see you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you so much. What, you know what I mean? It could be any number or all those things, right? But it's just one example. You can go in and find tons of examples of East Texas, West Texas, South Texas. Like there's just still a lot of that ingrained thing in certain areas, right? The further you get out, even towards Tyler, like it really ramps up when you get towards Tyler a lot. Yeah, Lippy. There's a lot. And I guess that's where enter in conspiracy, right? I don't for a moment want to think that 3 sisters, right? Like the magnitude of 3 little girls, 3 sisters, 3 African-American children lost their lives, and that no one is screaming to the high heavens about this. 90% of you have not heard it. There you go, Lippy. No, I do believe that one of the girls had a different father. Her name was, let me see here, Hughes. The other were Robinson Oliver. The middle girl was a Hughes. So however that all played out, 2 of the sisters had the same last name. One of the sisters had a different, right? I just, why is this like it is? I can't make sense of it, right? And I'm going to pull this up really quick. And thank you for everybody for joining me. I do appreciate it, because I just feel like there's so many things, you know, if it's not the Sebastian Rogers or the Lillian Jack or the Summer Wells, like nobody wants to hear about it, right? Like they want to go for, and I get it. I'm not saying that these people are insensitive or don't care, but you know, a lot of people are just here what they're here for. Just hear what they're here for. But you got 3 little girls, sisters, right? Sisters. Now, I'm not here to tell you that deep East Texas, that no one there has any criminal sophistication. But I think at this point, 3 years later, they've absolutely ruled out anything having to do with a family participation in the crimes, right? It would certainly appear to be that way. Thank you, Cinnamon. Thank you. You're welcome, Booster. I'm just really just frazzled, right? I'm going to do a little reading really quick. This is Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone picked this up. And Rolling Stone doesn't pick up just anything. Summer in eastern Texas, a horrific tragedy struck. Three young siblings were pulled out of a neighbor's pond dead and believed to have drowned. Then in March, the incident made national headlines when authorities announced autopsy results showing the sisters had not died by accident. They had been strangled to death before someone threw their bodies in the pond. This week, the district attorney of Cass County, Courtney Sheldon, told Rolling Stone that her office actually had the autopsy results since last August, days after the girls' bodies were found. They just didn't tell the public about it until almost 8 months later. There has been an incorrect assumption made that the autopsy results were not provided for 8 months, she said. The information simply was not released to the media until that time. While authorities withheld news of what Shelton herself describes as an unsolved triple homicide from the public, Shamanique Oliver, the mother of the three girls, tells Rolling Stone that although investigators told her the cause of death last August, they did not update her after that until earlier this month, when she says a ranger finally returned her calls but offered her no new information. The DA has refused to answer further questions about the case. I just want answers, Oliver said. Now, understanding that to a certain degree, the girls' bodies being in the water is going to negate some DNA. If the girls, in the world of DNA has changed, right? We now have touch DNA. You could touch someone and they can, you know what I mean? But you have all the standard collection situations, right? Under the nails, hair. There's still places the DNA can be obtained from if it in fact resides there, right? If it in fact resides there. Now, Oliver, who like her three daughters is Black, fears the case is stalled out and the delay is bringing up issues about which crimes matter to authorities, the media, and the general public. Authorities insist they're continuing to pursue answers in the investigation. Oliver lives in a small town outside Atlanta, Texas, itself a city of just a few thousand people near the state's border with Arkansas. On Friday, July 29th, Oliver left three of her children in the care of her cousin and went to work. She never saw her daughters alive again. At first, Oliver knew only that the girls, Tamari, Amaya, and Zairiel, had disappeared. The cousin who'd been watching them reported them missing, according to the DA. Rolling Stone reached out to the cousin, but did not hear back. That evening, members of the sheriff's office, the Texas Park and Wildlife Department, and fire rescue crews scoured the area. Cass County Sheriff Larry Rowe told the press at the time they'd found a pair of shoes near a pond on the property of one of Oliver's neighbors, prompting searchers to hone in on the body of water. The neighbor with the pond is another relative of Oliver's, she tells Rolling Stone, but not the one who was watching the kids that day. Authorities called in a dive team and the girls' remains were found in the pond around 3 a.m. News articles at the time suggested that the girls may have drowned. Officials cannot confirm if the girls frequently play at the pond or if the children knew how to swim. KTAL reported July 30th, 2022, before quoting Lieutenant Game Warden Jason Jones, that is unknown, whether they were swimmers or not. He told reporters and said that the girls had not been wearing life jackets when their remains were found. We have no idea what the girls were doing there. Now, what's interesting, if you sort of put it all together, right? These girls, they haven't jumped a fence and are trespassing. They're on relatives' property. They do, Mandy. They absolutely do. Pink Rose, girl, I'm on call right now. I get a call, I'm on the run. You understand me? I got a brand new puppy. Yeah, no, every live stream is going to be vertical from here on out, far as I can tell. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There's got to be some connection, right? Because as it appears, the offender is the trespasser, right? The offender is not supposed to be on this property theoretically, right? If this person was supposed to be on the property, doesn't it seem like they would be able to narrow down who it was, right? So now you have 3 girls on a property that's owned by relatives, and you have some unknown offender. How did he get there? How in rural East Texas did he find 3 girls on the property? Right? Like, where does that happen at? I guess other than East Texas, right? After the discovery of their bodies, months passed before March 23rd when DA Shelton put out a press release that catapulted a small town Texas tragedy into the national spotlight. That I don't believe at all. If it catapulted, all of you people would have heard about it. Right? All of you would have heard about it if this had been catapulted into the media. 3 girls have gone missing and been found dead in a pond last July, the release summarized. Autopsy reports concluded the manner of death for all 3 girls was homicide, indicating evidence of strangulation. It stated the girls also suffered lacerations to their faces. Multiple witnesses' statements have been obtained. DNA testing is ongoing, and the investigation will continue. At the end of the release, the DA asked for anyone with news information which would lead to an arrest to contact the Texas Rangers, not the Cass County Sheriff's Department. The Texas Rangers, right? Now, like I had stated before, the lacerations to their faces is interesting, right? And let's speak on it for a moment. Super sensible. Yeah, 2 years. We're all true crime aficionados. Since we're all aficionados, how come you've never heard of it? Why? I don't understand why. What's interesting about the lacerations is that tells you these aren't scratches. These are like willful lacerations. So someone cut these girls' faces. Now, we don't know to what degree. Their faces were cut, but they were strangled. They say strangulation is the closest form. It's the most intimate form of murder. That's what they say, right? It takes much less effort and much less, I guess you might say, effort to stab, shoot, a lot of the other forms, right? So this man systematically went down the line and cut and strangled 3 sisters. Like, in my opinion, it's very personal, Cinnamon. Very personal. In my opinion, this should be like one of the crimes of the century. Like one of the crimes of the century. 3 sisters? Like, who does that and gets away with it? We're not talking about Dallas, Texas, or Cincinnati, Ohio, or, you know what I mean? Indianapolis, Indiana. We're talking about small town Texas. You have one of the greatest law enforcement agencies ever created, and not because I'm biased, the Texas Rangers. They have all of the things. All of the things that the FBI has, essentially, the Texas Rangers has them too. Texas Rangers is Texas's very own version of the FBI. Yeah, you're talking about no knock type stuff, right? Like if the Texas Rangers are involved and they feel like they need to come in and look, they're about to come in and look. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they have the authority. So to me, it's very problematic. And I guess, again, if I haven't said it, like enter in conspiracy, right? Is the conspiracy that this is 3 young black girls and that someone down the chain thought, well, heck, these girls are black. They don't deserve the same justice as 3 little white girls. Right? And I think that, in my opinion, I think what gives off that feeling is the fact that not even the media can provide, I'm not asking for clarification, not even the media can provide the kind of coverage that one would come to expect for 3 sisters. Let me tell you right now, if 3 sisters were murdered almost anywhere else in the world, you would have heard about it. That's it, Cheryl. They were not blonde. They were not blonde-headed little Caucasian girls. Right? What gives? So, now don't get me wrong. If you dig, you'll find it. If you dig, you'll find it. But neither my mom or my dad had ever heard anything about this. Right? At all. Nothing. And that's it, Cinnamon, because we live in a time where it almost, you know what, we've been tricked. I feel like we've been tricked into believing that a certain brand of racism at law enforcement levels and white collar levels, like it's non-existent, like the mob was in the 60s and 70s, right? That's the takeaway here. Right? It's as if somebody wants you to believe that there is no racism at whatever level. Right? It's a very sad testament to what it is or what it could be. Right? There's definite economic lines in racial lines that still exist. Even when it comes to little girls, little black girls in America. There you go, Unfollowed. What I think that is a great way of terming it, coining it. Acceptable racism. It's acceptable, right? My dad went on down the line of, just right off the top of your head reasons why this could even be a thing, right? Was the sheriff up for re-election that year? And that, is it a Ronnie Lawson situation, right? Everyone has such a feeling that, well, Ronnie Lawson was dealing with his son's situation. What's really going on? And let me tell you what, I intend on finding out. I'm going to find out, right? I'm going to be on it. And I think by the looks of it, it's going to be difficult to come up with new updates, right? It just is. There just isn't anything to be had or seen. Pink Rose, I agree. Racism is very prevalent in our country right now. And to a point, it's my belief. You don't have to adopt my belief. Please have your own ideology. Yeah, Lawson got an award. That's right. He sure did. He did a great job for his son, right? Justice was served. Ooh-ah. yeah, Flossie, it just, I don't know. So when you dig in, you know, there are some things, but you really got to kind of, you know, you got to dig in. Douglasville is where it happened. A tiny Texas town in Cass County with an estimation of about 230 people. 230. Paris Props was responsible to care for the girls and their 3 other siblings. Props had been living with Shamanique with the 6 children for about 2 years. Neighbor Josephine Webster shared in her witness statement that she was driving home around 9:30 that evening when she was approached by a man who'd been living with Shamanique and the children. The man was no other than Paris Props. According to Josephine, Props used her house phone to call Shamanique, informing her that the girls hadn't showed up. We'll notate here that Josephine also told investigators that Prop was wet during this interaction. It looked like it went all the way down, not sweat. It looked like water. So that's even, I haven't read into any of the Reddit. So in this account here, the opinion of this author and the information that they have obtained seems as if they're kind of leaning towards Paris Props being the person that could be involved. Now, that is alarming. Yeah. Not long after the 3 were reported missing, search efforts from Texas Park and Wildlife, Fire Rescue, and volunteer locals began in an effort to locate the girls before any further time had passed. Unfortunately, hope would be short-lived when the children were found deceased in a private pond about 200 yards away from their home around 3 a.m. the following morning by the Bowie County Dive Team. Additionally, 1 pink and purple bicycle, a single pair of shoes, and a muddy footprint were found near the scene. I don't know what this guy's got going on, but doesn't it sound interesting? In the West Memphis 3, there were bicycles found at the scene. There were shoes found at the scene. There's just a lot of parallels here. I'm unable to confirm if any piece of evidence located belongs to either sibling, nor how difficult or easy it would have been for the girls to gain access to the pond all on their own. Initially, the girls' deaths were reported as accidental drownings. Officials cannot confirm if the girls frequently play at the pond or if the children knew how to swim. Lieutenant Game Warden Jason Jones stated that this is unknown whether they were swimmers or not. So, time lapse between officials leading the general public and the media to believe that the girls drowned to months later confirming they were instead killed is something that left Shamanique and her family feeling uneasy and uncertain of how exactly this investigation has been handled from the start. This investigation should not be considered a cold case. Sergeant Ethan Sarter, Public Information Officer for Texas Department of Public Safety, said it's still active and open. No arrests, right? So if you have any tips, please contact Texas Ranger Josh Mason at 903-255-5727 or Cass County Sheriff Larry Rowe at 903-756-7511. Now, this, I believe, I'm not sure, other than understanding that the author is Jayla Whitfield Anderson. But if you read the title, 3 black girls were found dead last year in a Texas pond. Police have made no arrests. I think that sort of sums it up, I think, right? And I don't think that me as a Caucasian man feels any different than Jayla feels, right? At all. I think that, in my opinion, that is the issue here. We're dealing with a East Texas town of 230 people. I mean, how many police? And I don't know, what would they say? A few thousand people or several thousand? CBS 19 out of Tyler did a few follow-ups in July. Yeah. They are beautiful girls, aren't they? And it's such a shame. It really is a shame. What do I have here now? So I would just ask everybody to kind of keep your eye on it. See, just remember the girls. In the event that there's an update, please feel free to, yes, Miss Justice, please feel free to email me something. If you don't see me talking about it and you see something, let me know, right? Please let me know. I would love to see any update or any traction in this case. Now, before we close out, there's just one last piece of business here. One last piece of business. Yeah, I don't know what this guy's issue is.
He's pulling. Oh, he hit something. Whether it might have just been the end of the driveway.
Yeah, we got an issue over here. I don't know what they got.
Out of, I believe Tona's driveway.
Yeah, could be. Found is pretty interesting here. Yeah, I'm sure the police will be showing up on that one. I've been minding my business, but I feel like this one deserves just a little play. Hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, it is occasionally issues down there, but it sounded like somebody kicked that car or whatever they got going on. Lulu, true. Me too. I'm familiar with him, but I'm guessing that this didn't quite get the traction that he thought. And one of the things that I want to raise here, where is it? We are looking for, here we go. He did not get at all. I mean, if you go through and read this post here, it is very, very jaded, right? I mean, people here don't want anything to do with any of this. What this guy wants is absolutely asinine, okay? Now, this is what he says. Nope, like people or don't. You should never get to control free speech or people obtaining money. That's control and going toward communism like China. Live in China if you want this. This is going towards the Antichrist system. Of course, Ryan's going to disagree. The absolute easiest way to protect the community on social media platforms is to screen out criminals. I'm not telling YouTube what crimes would count as blockable offenses, but I would say at the very least, those on SA registry should not be allowed to use any social media platforms. I would also block anyone with felony offense of fraud, assault, stalking, or murder. But that's just me. YouTube can create their own guidelines after pulling the background check. In any other job, you have to have a background check done before you work there, including news reporters who work in media. A YouTube creator should be no different.
Shit, look at the government shutdown.
Then Benny Keys says to Ryan Finds Truth, then probably people who threaten violence on other creators should also be an automatic no-no. In fact, Ryan Ryan. Hey, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. What about this, buddy? What about this? Your complete lack of self-awareness is mesmerizing at the least. YouTube's policy prohibits threats of violence, including both explicit and implied threats, and takes a strict approach to enforcing this rule. Violations can result in content removal, channel strikes, and account termination, Ryan. The policy also covers content that incites violence against individuals or groups based on protected characteristics, Ryan. Well, Benny, what would you mean by that? Well, how about this, Ryan? When you threaten to put my face in the floor because I told the truth that your daughters are involved in satanic rituals, Ryan. Is this not, aren't you the very person you were trying to ban from YouTube, Ryan? Imagine that, Ryan. Ryan, your self-awareness or lack thereof is now not mesmerizing anymore. It's startling, sir.
Parenting skills.
You are the very one that you're trying to keep YouTube from, but in fact, the rules already apply to you, Ryan. The rules of threats of any sort, implied or graphic, are already a breach of the terms of service for YouTube, friend. Now, we won't add in, or maybe we will add in, the whole flamethrower comment at Tiffany Marie's home. So you threatened two of us with violence while you're sitting around here pissing and moaning about wanting people with criminal records, which is never going to happen, friend. Let me tell you that, because it's not about keeping it clean. It's about making money, Ryan. YouTube doesn't care who's here. It's you and your soft skin, sir, that does. And you want people of a particular genre, which I get it, but you are the one that should already be removed from here. Does that make sense to you, Ryan? Yeah. No. I insulted his daughters by telling the truth. He never says anywhere in here that I lied on his daughters, does he? I did not lie on his daughters. You can go find his daughters all over Facebook, and they are openly involved in satanic following and cult stuff. I didn't make it up. He's only mad that we found it. We didn't have to lie about it because you couldn't lie and make it any better than what it actually is already. Like Ryan, you know what? And then he also goes on to say that people with certain mental health disorders also ought not be here. Well, wouldn't that completely remove your wife, Ryan? Would it not, sir? It absolutely would. It would remove you and your wife, is what it would do. So I think you need to be very careful, Ryan. You're starting to tread on people's, I don't know, First Amendment, friend. Just because you don't like the fact that other people have found out the dirty business about you. Right? It's very troubling, Ryan, because my amends to you still stands. And what's crazy is that I felt manipulated into a position where I made amends to you because it felt like the right thing to do. Not because I've lied on you or I've threatened violence to you or that I've done anything but use materials publicly available, whether it be materials your wife put online or it be materials that your daughters put online. You tell me, Ryan. But I'll tell you this, you are and you need to be the change you want to see, friend. How about that? Instead of running around here, you and your wife pointing fingers at other people, why don't you be the change you want to see, Ryan? Exactly, Donna. Yeah, Your daughters are adults. Let's not run around here and act like they're Summer Wells' age. And the other thing, friend, have a little decency. You're running around here looking for little girls in these fake searches, in sewer pipes, and in wherever you can put your little BS camera. I've had it, man, with you. For real, you need to quit, man. Adjust your trajectory, sir. Because don't you know that the parents, I don't care if you don't like their parents, her parents or not. You're running around here sensationalizing fake searches because your wife has a feeling and you're searching in gutters for a little girl you know isn't going to be there. Meanwhile, you're doing it because the parents won't talk to you on social media all the time, practicing your very poor self-awareness to understand that those little boys that are still her brothers one day may see all of this BS you're doing. Hooah? Fix it, man. That would be my, I don't know, like this is just as crazy as anything I've seen on the internet. Right here. Like seriously, Ryan, how can you be that unaware, friend? Threats of violence. First of all, if you ever thought you were man enough, oh boy, friend, if I ever meet him in person, his face is going to hit the floor. What does that mean, Ryan? I mean, I know you're you're talking to be a tough guy, right, Ryan? But if you were to ever meet me, that means you would have to come see me, right? You better be very careful with this, Ryan. Better be very careful, friend. Anyways, yeah, Lippy, I think he is a fraud. And I think he's a crybaby too. But I'll make amends for calling you a crybaby at some later date. Today, I reserve the right to tell you you have zero self-awareness and you are a crybaby, friend. You are a real crybaby. And you know what? You're not even going to pull me out of my character to say to you what I really want to say. Yeah, Miss Justice. Even your boy Andy is giving you the what's for it, right? So, yeah, this whole thing didn't hit right, did it, Ryan? Clip channels, feel free to clip it if you want. I.e., Lippy. Feel free to clip this, right? Because you can't want change and not be the change you want to see. Anyways, enough about that. Let's just remember. Super Sensible says, I can forgive him for what he has done to others and myself, but I can't forgive him for what he did to TM. That's it. He continues to essentially welcome pain, suffering, and death on a boy. Clipped already. Thank you, Lippy. Feel free to tag me in it too, Queen. You got some real emotional issues, Ryan. Some real emotional issues. And I don't know that this is the place for you, right? You want to act like you're 18 feet tall and bulletproof, but as soon as somebody tells, go on TikTok. As soon as somebody tells the truth about you, you cry and whine. Well, this is a place for big people. This is a place for grown folks. This adolescent behavior here, like, you're tough. And this happened in Lisa K's. Also, Lisa K. Let me go ahead, and I got something for you too, honey, since we're doing it tonight. Lisa K, you know, I don't really have a problem with too much of anything. Until, where is it? Until you tell people, where is it? And you've since deleted the post. Here, let me go ahead and share this. Come on, Lisa, we're better than this, honey, right? what you got to know, yeah, I'm going to do this because this happened on Lisa's panel. And when I approached her about it, I said, hey, Lisa, what gives? Oh, that happened in my place. You don't miss a comment, dear. You certainly do not. But now here you are allowing this sort of thing to happen right there. Right. So let's see here. Lisa, you say, and you never even responded. You never responded to me. Hold on. Let me just find it real quick. I'm just going to screenshot this one so I don't have to keep messing around here. Okay. And this is in my members only if you want to see it. And we're going to call it interesting. So let's go over here. So Ryan, that's enough for you today, as you were, sir. But what about this one? So coming from the same place, I thought Fred was a dealer. Lisa Kay says, I think they all were. Andy pot, Fred meth. I don't know if Don was dealing, but I know he brought back large quantities of crack every time he went to Knoxville. More than one person saw it, including BK. Lisa, I have never said I saw Don with crack nor a large amount. Please don't do that. It's not true and it's misinforming. I said he came back after a binge and I checked to see if he had brought any back. I found none. Don't do that to me again, Lisa. Please don't do that to me, because now it's as if you've offended against me twice. You've allowed Ryan to make physical threats against me and not deleted it. Thanks for that, kind of, right? Because had you deleted it, I wouldn't be able to talk about it today. But I knew better than to not screenshot this, because you just removed the whole post, because there was one very vocal woman that said, you should probably not lie on BK. There will probably be a number of people that won't be happy about that. And just the ideal of that even exists is a beautiful thing. But this right here, this is strike two, right? Now, I don't want to stop doing business with none of you. But Lisa, Ryan, you need to get it together, okay? Now, I don't know. Sometimes they just be saying stuff to just be saying stuff. You hear me? I'm telling you, they just be saying stuff. What's up, history? Yeah, and I'm not gonna get involved in, you know what I'm saying, doing no cussing. You know what I'm saying? I've already said asinine tonight, and that's close enough. Y'all be the change you want to see. You hear me? Be the change you want to see. Don't run around here doing the most and you got super thin, paper thin skin. Don't do it. Don't run around here being anything less than the change you want to see. I can't. Nah, man, come on, man. For real. You hear me? Anyways, I love all of y'all individually, right? And remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. God bless you all. I will see you very soon. I promise you that. That's it, Lippy. Yeah. Be careful what you say.